I'm back home now. Big shout outs to iBig. I will not elaborate further. And I was going through my tier 4s and I realized something. I have 2 transcended tier 4s. I was like, what? And then I looked again and I was like, yeah, I have 2 out of 31 tier 4s. I have 31 tier 4s? Yeah, I have 2 transcended tier 4s. Dr. Octopus and Moon Knight. Everybody else is tier 3. Has a tier 3 skill, right? Charges it up. Pops it off. That's it. Just 2. 2 out of 31, which is an insanely low number, right? It's crazy. What is it? I can't do the math. It's 6%. 6% of my tier 4s are transcended. So then I was like, hang on, how many transcended tier 4s are there? Because I think there's like 55 or 56 tier 4s now. And I go down and I'm like, okay, well, they're obviously going to be here, right? So we got 2, 4, 6, 8 on the first line, and that's it. I was like, that's it? 8? And I was like, oh, no, wait. There's some at the top because I have them starred. 10. Because Invisible Woman and Human Torch got their tier 4. So in the last update cycle, we got 2 new transcended tier 4s. We had 10, now we have 12. So 20%, a 20% increase in the number of transcended tier 4s in literally the last update. Right? To make up just over 20% of the total, and it was actually less than 20% of the total before those 2 pulled up, right? And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then I started thinking, okay, well, why? Why are there so few transcended tier 4s? And I said, oh, okay, well, let's take a look at a lot of the tier 4s that I don't have yet, like Ebony Maw, Quicksilver, Odin, Mr. Fantastic. Oh, these are all native tier 2 tier 4s, right? Or native tier 3 tier 4s, whatever. So, not native tier 3, but you get what I'm saying. So, like, oh, okay, there's just not that many native tier 2 transcended characters, right? No, also wrong. Look, there's 3 right there. Black Dwarf, Corvus, and Supergiant. Just waiting. Just big chilling. So there are some. There's not a lot, right? There's obviously more transcended, or sorry, there's more tier 3 native tier 2 or native tier 3s, right? And you can see a huge list there. There's like almost 2 lines of them, right? From Mephisto down to Deadpool, and obviously we know Deadpool's about to get his tier 4. But I was like, damn, that's crazy. So that's probably one part of the answer, right? One part of the answer is probably we know the devs have been focusing a lot on native tier 2 tier 4s this year, and we can see that when most of the tier 4s this year have been native tier 2 or native tier 3. But that's not all. You got to think about 2 more things. One, transcended characters were not released at the same time as tier 3 characters. So tier 3 was invented, released, whatever, in 2018. And then about a year and a half later, they were like, we're not really making enough money on tier 3s. So let's release this new kind of tier 3 called a transcended character. And so then in I believe it was 2020. I don't think it was 2019. I think it was 2020. They released the Warriors of the Sky with Blue Dragon, whatever, and those were the first transcended characters. So they're not as new. I mean, they're not as old. They're much newer. So that means that they're not as many popular characters. This is kind of what I'm getting at here. It's not what everybody wants to hear because your favorite character might be transcended. But if you look at the majority of the coolest characters, they were released earlier, like obviously all of the X-Men, all of the Fantastic Four, for example, most of the Avengers, almost all of the Avengers, if not all of the base Avengers, they're all released, Wasp being the big change, right? Released as tier 3s because they were released earlier than the system, right? Because they were already in the game before the transcended system came out. And so then they were given their tier 3s, right, before that shit happened. So you have a lot of characters transcended. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of transcended characters. I don't know if at this point there are more transcended characters than tier 3s. if you remove all the tier 4s, but there are a lot of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So -1, that's 12. 12 times 8 is what, 96? Yeah, there's definitely more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. If you take away the ones that are already tier 4, there's way more transcended characters left. Way more. And so it's like, man, are all of these guys going to get tier, like, realistically, are all of these characters, like, is Ares going to get a tier 4? You know? Some of these, like, you know, is Hogan going to get a tier 4? Like, no, that's not happening, bro. That's probably not happening. And so this ultimately led me to believe, and a lot of people are not going to like to hear this, but you know how we have tier 4s and we have tier 2s? The awkward conversation. So we got tier 4s and they keep coming out, but we still got a lot of tier 2s, and like, man, like, get rid of all the tier 2s before you start tier 4ing characters. And then Marvel's like, nah, we're not gonna do that. Well, I got some bad news for you. They're probably gonna do the same thing whenever they get to tier 5 with transcended characters. So when they start releasing tier 5 and they're like, guys, get ready for tier 5 Captain America, bum bum bum, or whatever, tier 5 Spider-Man, because they always start with the most popular characters, right? Whether it's Captain America, whether it's Iron Man. At that time, when they're dropping tier 5, we're still going to have, I promise you, we're still going to have transcended Lincoln Campbell. And then there may be players left at that point who are like, but where's tier 4 Fandral? How can you release tier 5 when you haven't given the Warriors 3 their transcendence? Give Volstagg his transcendence, you cowards. Or sorry, give Volstagg his tier 4s. So too many T words, bro. Give Volstagg his tier 4 before you start with tier 5s, you cowards. He's still transcended. And again, the devs are going to be like, nah, we're not going to do that. We'll make way more money. And that's ultimately what it comes down to, which I kind of don't blame them. We'll make way more money dropping a tier 5 for the beloved characters, the Captain Americas, the Iron Mans, right? The Jean Greys. We're going to make way more money on that than we're going to make on Scourge tier 4. Like, let's be realistic, guys. How many, put up your hand if you're like, yes, let's go, day 1 tier 4 Scourge. What the F is Scourge going to bring to the game? Baldness, right? Tattoos, bald tattoos, scalp tattoos. There's really nothing. You know? So, yeah, it's just this, like, I guess it's something I always kind of realized deep down, but now you think about it and you break it down and you're like, nah, this is for real, 100% what's going to happen. There's so many trash transcended characters, right? Like the Warriors 3 are obvious, but there are others. Caecilius, you know, I mean, there's a slim chance he gets something MCU related, but unlikely, you know. Destroyer's probably never going to get anything again. Giant Man's probably never going to get anything again, right? Iron Hammer, these characters kind of like trapped in time. He's not going to get a tier 4, let's be real. Why would you tier 4 him? Why don't you just tier 4 Thor? Like, eons better, right? Just eons better. Yeah, I mean, same artifact, though. That's spooky. Same artifact. So, yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And I guess I'm okay with it. I wasn't 100% okay when they started tier 4ing before they got rid of all the tier 2s. But I think now we just... the thing is, you kind of get used to it. As the game gets older, you get longer in the life cycle, you kind of just have to take what you can. You're just like, yeah, okay, sure. We're doing this now. As long as you're not Marvel Strike Forcing us, you know, as long as you're not just like completely pay to play, yeah, fine, whatever, sure. You're going to do tier 5 before this guy got a tier 4? Yeah. All right. So I've made peace with this. Hopefully this video helps you make peace with it ahead of time, because it's definitely going to happen. And you know what? I will say this. I didn't even think about this when I was making the video. There's a possibility that we'll get tier 5 before all the tier 3s get tier 4. I generally think the tier 3s are more popular characters than the transcended characters. but there are still some bad tier 3 characters. Like, I don't think Sylvie's going to get a tier 4 unless they really push her in the Loki show moving forward. I just don't. I just don't, right? Same thing with, like, I don't know. Maybe they do White Fox as a support, but otherwise, she's irrelevant, you know? But in general, the tier 3s are cooler. Like, is Wenwu ever going to get a tier 4? Again, if Shang-Chi never goes back down that road, it's highly unlikely, right? Like, when is Rocket going to... Right, James Gunn's not coming back. There's no Guardians of the Galaxy 4. When is Groot... Like, the game's going to be over before Rocket gets a tier 4. So, yeah, I actually think there are... Bro, he didn't even get a tier 4 for Echo. Think about that. I think there are some tier 3s that are not going to get tier 4s either. I think it's much less. It's much fewer. But, yeah, I definitely think it's possible. I actually am really curious what you guys think about that. Do you think they'll leave some of the tier 3s stranded? Especially if they don't do, like, Eternals 2. Are they seriously going to... Like, I could see them tier 4ing Cersei and Gilgamesh because of PvP, and maybe Thena because she's expensive, and maybe Makari because she's cool, but Icarus? Tier 4? In this economy? Nah. Nah, I don't think so. Anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Just some shower thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys. Buff Doctor Doom! What are you waiting for? You're still watching the video? Go buff Doctor Doom! Go! Go buff Doctor Doom! Pali! Thanks for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.